Good morning. It is Barbara, the East Coast Dragon Lady, coming to you on Easter Sunday. Um, as you can probably see, I've got lights on. It's here on the East Coast. It is pretty dreary. Apparently, we're meant to have rain most of today, um, which is sort of sad, I think. It sort of goes with, I don't know, whatever's going on. But so I'm sitting here with I realised I hadn't even got myself prepared to do any readings. And then I'm asking, do I need to do any readings today? I think I'm going to do a bit of real talk. I posted 2 videos this week, short videos, um, talking about things that were coming up for me, how I was feeling. So now I'm feeling I need to have the sacred soul because this always tells me what's going on. I also wanted to share a couple of funny things that remind me of Easter when my kids were younger. Um, my kids was young when we moved here, 4 and 6. So they really don't have too many memories of any of our family celebrations back in England. My ex-husband was from a reasonably large family. There was 3 other siblings. He was one of 4. And we used to have, my mother-in-law always, every holiday was there an excuse to have everybody to her house. We all had to go to her, and she just cooked and cooked and cooked. She was an only child and really didn't like being an only child, so she produced 4 children. There's a whole interesting stories to all of that. But I do remember, and I may have shared this at Christmas, because Christmas and Easter, always, this story always comes up for me. So my older son, a very bright kid at a very young age, he was born with so much knowledge that nobody gave him. He didn't read it. He was a really old soul. He is an old soul. And in England, any of the religious holidays, because schools are connected to churches, and the church calendar dictates the school celebrations. So Easter and Christmas, of course, are big religious holidays. If you're practicing Catholic or you grew up in the Catholic faith, you know that. In England, which is the Church of England, a big role is played in schools. I don't know if they still get religious education, but my children did. I did. We were taught from the Bible. So my very bright, so he was 6 when we moved here, so he must have been 5. When he was in school, he learnt about at Christmas, Jesus was born in a manger, and all the excitement around that. There was always a nativity play. People got chosen to be in the nativity play. So all of that stuff that goes with school. Fast forward to Easter, which is like 3-4 months after, and he was learning about the Easter story. And he came home. I can see him now. He was a skinny little boy, hands on his hips, and he said, "Mummy, how come Jesus didn't live very long?" And I thought about it, and he said, "Well, he was only born at Christmas, and now he's died." So, in a child's mind, like it was 3 or 4 months, and now we're talking about this man dying. So he was very logical. So that always makes me laugh when I think about that. My kids were not born up with any religious education, and we don't in any way celebrate religious holidays. But I do like to see how other people celebrate. It just brings back fond memories, and it sort of made me realize that one of the things I'm learning to embrace, both physically and mentally and sort of my body, is the aging process. It sort of comes as a disappointment to me that I'm noticing more and more signs that my vessel is aging. I've got this back issue, which sadly, I think I'm only like 3 weeks out, maybe 3 or 4 weeks since my spinal injection. and the pains come back. It's sort of more intermittent, but it's there. If I sit too long, I walk too long, do anything too long, I have this like, I know it's annoying, but it's like, ugh. So to take care of my aging vessel, I'm going to an acupuncturist tomorrow. I've got a consult tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. I got lots of people telling me that acupuncture could be the way to help with my arthritis. My hands have been extremely painful. I also have it in my feet. I know I have it in my spine, my hands, my feet, my knees, certainly my right knee. My left knee was an injury as a child, which caused me to have around about 50, I believe I was, when I had my first knee replacement. So I'm sort of part of the bionic woman as well. I've had surgery on my feet. I have had surgery on my hands. I've had carpal tunnel. So this week, not only has it been, things have been coming up for me, they're literally in my face, is what I'm going to say. So I'm not sure what cards I'm going to pull here, but I did want to talk about that, because for the longest time I didn't embrace, in fact I was in denial about my age. Because I had my children when I was older, I adopted my son when I was 33. I was pregnant at 33. So 32, adopted. 33, I got pregnant. 34 when I had my son. So in terms of being an older first pregnancy, I was in England, they called you a geriatric prima gravida, which didn't make me feel any better. And so people base the age, especially when my kids were in school, they just based my age on the age of my children. So I had 11 years of marriage before I had children. So I was in my 30s, where, again, when I was married, people got married and had children in their 20s. I was really not like everybody else, having them in my 30s, because most of my friends had 10, 11, 12-year-olds. But that's sort of, and I'm fortunate I have good genes. My skin looks good. I do have, I'm going to call them hereditary wrinkles. My mother, my aunt, and myself have got these around our face. I'm noticing, now I notice everything. But I take care of all of that. But I did come across a Chinese, a Vedic, it was on Facebook maybe. So I've been trying, because I've also noticed that my skin in general is just dry. I look at it and go, oh, that's old lady's skin. It's sort of dry, and I've never had dry skin, ever, ever, ever. I drink plenty of water, but my skin is drying out. And it's got that crepey look to it. I've got cream I put on, all of that stuff. It's still, like when I rub my legs, I'm like, ooh. So it was talking about, and I remember doing this years ago, like you can put things in your belly button, and it's sort of the center of the meridians. So I've started to put olive oil. It did talk about putting like a cotton ball and putting tape over it. You try doing olive oil and getting all over the place and trying to stick anything. But then I did read that you can put a few drops in and just rub it in. So I'm trying that to see if that's going to help overall. Also, I think having acupuncture and looking at sort of what's going on for me. I take a lot of vitamins and minerals versus not taking much prescription medication. So I look, and I'm also gluten and dairy free, all that good stuff. The other thing I wanted to talk about before I do a reading is I have been trying extremely hard not to look at what is going on in the Middle East, not to. but I need to. I need to sort of understand what's going on because I don't want to be that ignorant if anything happens. It's scaring the shit out of me, is all I'm going to say, because it doesn't make any sense. Whoever's fighting who, and it always seems to be the religious wars or whatever it is over gas, oil. I mean, all of it makes no sense to me, other than I think we are going to start seeing it and feeling it. And I've been picky. There's one or two people that I'm reading or listening to their posts. I did post a couple. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'm worried about the long-term effect of gas, of the Straits of Hormuz, the Suez Canal being blocked, and what that means to our economy. What does that mean to me? What does it mean to my family? What does it mean to our access to food? This shouldn't be, it sounds like a third world issue. It shouldn't be. But I think we're putting our heads in the sand if we don't think about it. I think I mentioned probably last year, I did start a box. I have what I call my go bag, where I've got some things in there. I'm actually going to get it out today. I've got these are simple things: a solar powered charger. But of course, if we go off grid, we won't have electricity. We won't have phones. But I do have. It's probably this size, and it's solar generated, and you can plug things into it. It comes in handy if we ever lose power as well. So I'm not investing in generators or things like that. But they're the things that have been troubling me this week, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. On brighter things, my younger son, I talk about him a lot, about I'm his caretaker. He does struggle with mental health issues, and I am his case manager, is what I'm going to say. Any of you that have loved ones with that are struggling, in the end, you're their advocate. So I actually found him a small group art class where it's just a small group of adults that have some disabilities that need to just be gently guided. And I think this is going to just be awesome for him. He used to love art when he was much, much younger, and was good. So I'm excited about that. That's going to start in a few weeks. They're just finishing up a 6-week class and then taking a break and then another one. I hope that's just going to be good for him to be able to get out all of that, because it's energy, and Merlin has also been popping up for me, reminding me about how writing is about flow, how it's all energy coming through down our arms into the pen and writing. The same with art. I have been, so Dina and I did a class. We held a class on Friday. 3 people came, so thank you to those of you that showed up. Dina did some beautiful dragon glyphs. I interpreted them and did some readings. I used oracle decks, and so did Dina. And I think everybody got what they wanted from it. It also so I've also just finished a class with somebody else where we did some art, and then I did this with Dina. So I felt like my light language was activated even more. So I've been doing. So I don't speak it. I do often when I'm doing other things. Sometimes I talked about this last week, how I was driving and sending energy, sending codes to where I was going. It's that sort of thing. I write it. This was down one side of the page, and then lots of energy coming in. I posted it on my Facebook page with my interpretation of what that was. I'm also going to be posting another one that Dina did as a community dragon glyph, and I'll be posting that later on or after this. I always, yeah. So anything else comes up that I think I need, I will jump on and do what I'm calling real talk. Thank you for those of you who have subscribed to my YouTube channel. Thank you to those that have joined my private Facebook group, where I post a lot more dragon spiritual stuff than I do on my regular page. Also, I have a website, which is www.eastcoastdragonlady.com. You can actually see that it's nicely set out. My friend Tammy Cantrell runs that for me. There's my services there. I did post a reminder about one of my newer services, which is rather than just an oracle reading, a channeled oracle reading, which I'm offering right now for $100. And if you write me a review, I'm charging $125. But I'm asking, I need to get. I'm not good at selling myself, is what I've realized. I've been doing this work for a long time, and people know of me, but I don't feel that I'm really getting myself out there. And as I shared before, I honestly thought I was on a trajectory to do what I still feel is in my heart that I should be doing. I'm still trying to work my way work my way through that blockage. It's clearly a blockage for me. It's clearly stopped me in my tracks. So I've really got to spend some time with what does that mean? Do I push through it? Do I stop and just wait? I know these are all the questions I have going through my head. So with that said, I wanted to share that something I posted a couple of days ago, which was about fatigue, because often when I've noticed when I'm stressed, that my body reacts by being fatigued, or we feel like we can't get out of our own way. We feel sluggish. So this was about fatigue. This was April 4th. So it was only, yesterday. I said the other day, yesterday. The fatigue you are feeling is real. The disrupted sleep, the low motivation, the sense that your emotions are sitting just beneath the surface, waiting to spill over. This is the full moon moving through your system. I talked about that last week, about that. Actually, when I posted about my reaction to something, was something's just around the corner. Lunar energy amplifies everything you have been carrying, the unprocessed feelings, the unspoken words, the things you have been holding together through willpower alone. This phase is asking you to put some of that down. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to feel everything without needing to explain it. This window passes, and when it does, something in you will feel significantly lighter than before. And also, somebody reminded me that full moon energy can actually last up to 2 weeks after. So at least until next weekend, we're probably in this intense full moon. And silly me, I forgot it had been a full moon on the 1st. So I think that answers a lot of questions, for me, as to why I've been feeling like that. Certainly, the first 3 months of this year was stuff coming up. I was very animated. I talked a lot about how my energy was just going up and up and up and up. there is no limit to where our energy can go, but I sort of got to a ceiling and then the bottom fell out. So that's what it felt like. I was going up, 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 stopped, and then like the floor beneath my feet fell away and it just went crashing down. It's picking up, but there's still something here that's going, just be careful, just be careful. So if that speaks to you, then that's why I shared it. As you know, I do these to be real. I do this to help everybody else that may be watching this or is drawn to this. Interestingly, I still have to figure out this algorithms. I have no idea. The week before, like 800 people watched my video. I was like, that is awesome. It's like 30 from last week. And I know I did a couple of other videos, but even if you add all those up, maybe 30, 40 people. So what happens is what I could say. I am not tech savvy. I don't know how you can go from a handful of people watching to over 800 people viewing to then back down to 30 or 40. When I look at people that are in the hundreds of thousands of views, they don't drop. So again, these are the questions I have, and I don't know who to ask them to, who to ask. Yeah, for some reason that brought up, yeah. So it's bringing up for me that I'm here for other people, but there's not usually a lot of people that can answer my questions. So it makes you feel lonely when I'm asking questions. I'm talking into YouTube and going, why? Why does that happen? I've tried going back to it doesn't matter. I know my purpose here, which is to be the beacon, to hold the light. So maybe I just have to be content with that. So the first card I pulled says vulnerability. Face hidden anxieties and insecurities head on and don't let them control you. So sort of what I was just saying, right? So this is the theme for this week, I think. Resentment. It often festers, causing a desire for revenge. Let go of the past to find peace. So yeah, I've learnt that lesson. And if you're watching this, this is meant for you. If you have resentment for whatever reason, and we all carry some of that, like the what if I did this, what if I did that, what if life was different, what if I didn't do this, or what if I did that. I had a very clear picture of what life would have looked like for me if I hadn't got divorced. And I took, it was a fork in the road. If I went this way, this would happen. If I went this way, I didn't know. It was the unknown path. So I've been walking on the unknown path for 25 years, 26 this year. I'm still building the bridge as I go across it, I guess. And insecurity. So that's in vulnerability, resentment, and insecurity. Fear of not being good enough. Build confidence and love your uniqueness. Well, that answered my question, right? I asked the question and that was the answer. All right, so I guess if you ask, you receive. That's what I'm hearing. So as I've said before, often when I pull these cards, it's sometimes answering what's going on for me because I have that energy. If I was doing this reading for you, I would be tapping into either your energy or I'd be tapping into your guides, which my guides would tap into your guides. A flick of the tail. We are forewarning you of an important event, human child. Stay aware, trust the signs we are sending. Believe your own wise instincts. They are correct. We are with you. That's the message for us for this week. And that does make sense. So things are starting to make sense. All right. So I'm not doing doom and gloom because that doesn't help any of us. Right. So let's see. I've been loving these cards from Kyle Gray. So I find them very uplifting and spot on each day. Your mind is an altar to source energy. These are for this week. Oh, I think this one. Oh, of course that one would come up. I was called here on a mission. Of course I was. And so were you. Do one more. Oh, take the weight of the world off your shoulders. It does feel like that. And we can't do that. I mean, that's one thing that isn't healthy, is we can't fix other people. We can't fix other people's issues. But what we can do is to hold. What am I hearing there? They're showing me. I'm actually seeing a picture of the world, Earth. And I don't know why I'm hearing this. You can't fix stupid. Now, well, I know what that means, but I'm not saying that. So you can take from that what you want. So you can't fix stupid. And that may be your situation. I'm going to pull some of my dragon cards. So there's the Star Dragon Ancestors, Sister Dragon, and Ancient Traveller Dragon. This has come up an awful lot. This Ancient Traveller Dragon. So the Elder Council, the Galactic Elder Dragon Council, I'm part of that. I'm actually their spokesperson, they've told me. I might actually post. I'm writing a chapter in a book. I've talked about that. I was going to use that in my chapter, but in fact I was going in this direction and now I'm going over here, which I've almost finished. There's always that hanging over you, like 3,000 words. Star Dragon Ancestors. So our ancestors are speaking to us as well as the ancients. We've got the ancient energy. We've got the ancestors are telling us to follow our soul. And then we've got the Sister Dragon talking about the bond is never broken. So this feels like something a bit different. This is for those of you that may be questioning your relationship with a sibling, not even just a sister, to remember that being part of a family, the bond is never broken. And let's just do the goddess, I think. Let's see what the goddess cards have to tell us as their final message. This isn't the goddess cards. They've jumped ship. These are the fairies. So I must have put them in the wrong box. But that's interesting. So it's a fairy message. You know, crystals do that. I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I used to have, when I was doing Reiki and polarity therapy, I did lots of hands-on healing energy work. I had several bowls, crystals, in bowls, big ones, little ones I would put on people, all that. I've actually seen crystal. I put a crystal on somebody and it's jumped off. I mean, not fallen off, literally jumped off because they didn't want that. Um, but they go missing, or they move, um, or they just literally disappear. It's not like you lose them. They're like that. I have a big crystal there, and then it's not there anymore. Um, so they sometimes decide they're needed somewhere else, and I just find that fascinating. I mean, they're vibrations. Oh, self-reliance, and this is interesting. Inner child. Oh well. So the fairies are telling us that we need to let go, and that sort of goes with this first lot of cards. So letting go, so only to rely on ourselves, because what is it? Only to your true self. It's coming to me. They're giving me a message. Hang on. Only to your true self. Be true to yourself. And then there's the inner child. Now, I actually struggle. There was a couple of weeks that I was supposed to draw my inner child, and it actually took me a while to do it, because oftentimes when people ask me to do anything around my inner child, I don't even know if I can find it. Not here right now because I'm not supposed to show it to you, but I did eventually. So I'm not surprised that our inner child needs protecting, is what I'm hearing. Why I keep, in the faint background, I'm hearing this sort of almost like chanting about to your true self. I'm going to have to look this up. There's a saying. Some of you are probably yelling at me. About your true. It's about your true self. Be who you are. So I'm watching people walking past my window. If it will come to me, but what happens, you're doing something completely unrelated, and it's a famous saying about being true to yourself, be only true to yourself. So anyway, I won't keep holding sort of silences while I'm trying to Google it. All I can say is thank goodness for Google, and I'm eating my own words here because for the longest time I was somewhat anti-AI, but I found actually that I'm going to say used sparingly, but used in a way that can be helpful. I actually used it the last few days to put some things into context for me, like I put some ideas in and said, write me this. And I was like, whoa, sometimes it's very typical AI, but it was really nice to see, like, taking those words and then doing, several pages for me. So I'm saying that AI in certain circumstances can be very helpful. Same as Google, right? We can't believe everything that Google says, but often it will, when you've got that like one phrase or that thing, oh, what is that? What is that? Or where's that? I mean, I often use it to find, somebody will say they live in a certain place and I want to like visualize where they are. Google is great. When I want to, like, But what I've done before, when I get channeled messages and when I used to do a lot of automatic writing, I would ask who it was, and sometimes I didn't know who it was, what the name was, or they'd say they were this archangel, this person. I would Google it and literally almost fall over. Actually, my famous story about that is Merlin, and Merlin's laughing while I tell this. So I don't know why I hadn't considered anything outside of Merlin. My encounters with Merlin were very, I would use the word intimate, very personal. I met him multiple times in the woods, and we would talk about, he would help me understand why was things brighter, what was happening. This was post to my divorce, was when I met him. And I'm guessing that was, people often talk about their spiritual awakening. I just feel I was spiritual all the time. But I think that was a significant point in my waking up, because my first encounter with him was because I was asking myself, why are these colours so vibrant? I've never seen these. It was in the fall. I live in the northeast of the USA, and things are very red, very bright orange. Just vibrant. And I was walking in the woods and the leaves were on the ground, and I was thinking to myself, why have I never noticed these colours before? And Merlin popped up literally in front of me and said, wow, the reason is that you are awake. You've woken up. And then he sort of showed me, and I use this analogy a lot, that I felt I'd been held down, literally, like staked in the ground. And after my divorce, I was let go and I just flew out into the universe. That was sort of what I used to describe. It was like I really felt restrained, and then, boom, I can go. And I just shot out. And this has happened to me 3 or 4 times, where the beginning of the year comes and they literally throw me out into the new year. This year they were kinder to me. It was a slower ramp. Well, because I was on a trajectory, so I didn't have to be flung in. So yeah, I've diversed from whatever I was saying, but I think this is why these things are coming up. Things come up for us because we need to see them. They come up to humble us. Sometimes they come up for a lesson. Sometimes for no reason other than to see how we react. So, so far, I'm giving myself 100 of how I'm reacting to what is happening. And I'm trying to not let it shake me. So, with the little thing here and there, I'm taking one step at a time. So next week is going to, for me, I've got the acupuncturist. My son has an appointment in Boston, so I'm going to be busy with sort of medical appointments and all sorts of other things. So yeah, I'm going to be driving a lot. I had to drive into Boston, which I've actually, so we're about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Boston. I hate Boston driving, hate it. But I had to get used to it, because when my son had thyroid cancer and we were in Boston frequently, I had to learn to navigate Boston traffic, and it's sort of worse. Well, it's on the same par as New York traffic. Massachusetts drivers are called mass holes, and they are. And I'm semi. I will say I can be a mass hole. Like I yell. They yell all the time. It's a bit like, people hang out. But, people are like, why are tourists here? Why is this person driving slow? Oh my God, pick a lane. That's the sort of thing you have to deal with. So I have to pull in my energy. My dragons love it. Again, I think I've talked about this, but I have, actually it's a bright red dragon. He's Fearless Freddy is who he calls himself. He's sort of he's a Texan. He literally he has Texas boots on. He has a big, Texas hat on, and he has a lasso, and he's right at the front of my car. He wraps his tail all the way around my car, hangs on, and he's yelling yeehaw. He's trying to lasso cars. He's telling them all to get out of the way. If anybody could see this, it must be quite the sight, right? But yeah, Fearless Freddy will be escorting me on my trip, and he makes sure everybody. I mean, I've had people miss me by literally, like, they. Unfortunately, I live in a state where they think they can go from the outside lane to the exit, like, and just go across 4 lanes of traffic. So he's watching all of that. So if you ever think that you need protection in your car, I would say call in your dragons. I mean, I do protection. I ask for protection for my car, for myself. I do that every morning and evening. But I remember usually my signal is I just say dragons up and they're already there. So that's how I handle traffic and mass holes, is bring in the dragons. So I hope that you have a good week. It is already the first full week in April, but it's almost the second week. So we've got 3 weeks to go. So it's a 5 week? 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost, yeah. It's almost like a 5 week month. So April's going to seem long. At least it's lighter. So we have to take the good with whatever we have. So if you have questions for me, if you want to chat with me, if you want, I do a 45-minute clarity call. To talk, if you want to just talk about dragons, have a question, you can email me. I'm always open to people emailing me. It's eastcoastdragonlady@gmail.com. Some of you have done that. Thank you. Sometimes I can answer those questions, sometimes not. If you can check out my website, which I've already talked about, is www.eastcoastdragonlady.com. And yeah, be in touch. If you haven't already liked or subscribed to YouTube, please do that. If this speaks to you, or it would speak to somebody else, please share it with them. This will go up on my Facebook page and obviously on YouTube. And I hope you have a good week.